So today I'm going to talk about how I learn a song beginning to end for each of my monthly covers. Every month I learn a new song, and that might increase as I pick up songs more quickly. But for right now, this is my process. I'm still at less than a year, so this is like a beginner's point of view. But at the very end, I have tips that are honestly probably more helpful than the steps. So keep watching till the end. The first one is when you choose a song, it needs to be challenging enough that you are motivated to continue learning, but not so hard that you're dejected. Or too easy. If it's too easy, then it's too easy to learn. Honestly, I get bored if something is too easy. So there's like a sweet spot, and sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 days to pick one song. I need to make sure that, is this possible for me to learn? You have to gauge your skill level, you have to gauge where you are at with the guitar, and are you able to accomplish it in whatever deadline you've set for yourself. My second step is to find a good guitar tutorial. Maybe some guitar teachers have a way of teaching that is best suited for your learning style. So some popular ones, as everyone knows, that are now memes, like Marty Short's, Justin Guitar. Find a good tutorial that helps you and suits your learning style, and then just stick with it. So the third step, in a nutshell, is to learn the whole song, but not perfectly. It's just about learning the notes, learning the chords, and just getting a feel for the whole song all the way through. It's a really rough draft of the final version that's to come. But you learn the song all the way through by breaking it into chunks. So by breaking it into chunks, you've learned the first 20 or 30 seconds. You learn that properly. Then you move on to the next 20 or 30 seconds. You learn that properly. In addition to that is sometimes, I used to do this a little bit more, but I would write down the notes, the chords onto a piece of paper. I haven't done that in a while, and I've realized that I do want to continue doing that, but it's nice to have that sheet of paper somewhere that I can refer back to in the future. I do want to write the November Rain solo down onto a piece of paper. The writing down what's needed was actually my fourth step, but I'm just going to lump it into the third one. That's fine. The fourth step is now, I call it practice and perfect. The practice portion for me, step 3, is learning it all the way through. Perfecting is step 4. You take the song that you've learned all the way through, you take those same chunks, or maybe you can adjust it, and you start to fine tune those chunks. I take the first 30 seconds and I'm like, okay, let me break this down a little more. How can I play this better? How can I make it sound better? Am I playing it as it's supposed to be played? Am I playing it up to speed? So that's how I learned the whole song. I think my tips are a lot more helpful, honestly. So let's go into the tips. Like, the tips don't really fit into any particular step. The tips are entirely separate. So that's why I have a whole different section for the tips. So my first tip is to learn it right the first time. A lot of times I will learn it a certain way, and it is harder to unlearn it than if I had just learned it right the first time. So sometimes I'll do like a little shortcut, or like I'll be like, oh, I don't need to learn it right now, like it's fine. Like then my little goal, my little deadline goal starts coming in. I'm like, oh my goodness, like I cannot unlearn this. I keep playing it this way. Why are my fingers doing this? So learn it right the first time. The second tip is, I would say one of the biggest ones for me is self-awareness. So whenever I'm playing something wrong consistently again and again, I play it at a slower speed and I try to recognize what the issue is. So for example, when I was learning my System of a Down cover, I could not play it at a certain speed. So I slowed it down, and I didn't know the words hand synchronization. I didn't know what that was like 2 months ago, literally. But I could not have my right hand and my left hand sync up at the same time. And I was getting so frustrated. But I realized that was the issue. I didn't know what I didn't know. So once I realized that the issue was that my hands were not syncing up, and the term is hand synchronization, I just practiced that a little more. And then the next day, it was really good. Just by the self-awareness that, hey, I'm not playing this properly. Why is it? Why is it that I keep messing up? I don't have a teacher, and if you don't have a teacher, you have to realize like where you're messing up, and I'm probably doing shit wrong all the time. My third tip is anti-procrastination. So what I do with procrastination is I tend to do things, the easier things first and the harder things last. I'm still doing things, so it's not like I'm procrastinating the whole song, but in a way it is procrastination, because I'm like, oh, well, I will just learn that hard part 2 days before my little deadline of this song. No. I've had every song I've done, every monthly cover, there's always one portion. I can name every monthly cover and the portion that I've procrastinated on. That is the hardest part, and I end up putting it off. And when I do my official recordings or whatever, that's the part I struggle with, and then I yell, like I'm yelling and screaming, like, why do I keep messing up? But it's because I put it off. So when you do the harder parts first and the easier parts later, you have more time to practice the harder parts. The easier parts will come a little more naturally. Another good tip is I use like YouTube repeat, or like, I mean, there's a lot of websites where you can repeat YouTube videos and repeat certain sections. So I will take a certain section of the song, let's just say 5 to 10 seconds of the song, depending on how much I'm struggling, and it'll be on repeat again and again and again. And it sounds like it's boring, but it's not. Because for me, like playing the guitar is kind of like a video game. I want to keep practicing it until I get it right. My next tip, okay. My next tip is trying to finish the song by a certain deadline or goal. Like set a goal for yourself that you want to finish this in a week or a few weeks or a month. Mine are monthly covers, so I choose songs that are challenging enough that it'll keep me busy the whole month. But like choose like a date that you want to finish it by, a soft date, right? Like it still should be fun. It shouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't get this done by October 17th. Like, oh my goodness. It's a soft deadline. So for me, I set a deadline, and if it goes over by like a few days or a week, I get a little annoyed at myself, but I'm okay with that, like, because I need the time. And honestly, the end result's sometimes better just by having pushed it off a little more. You should also have deadlines for those smaller, manageable chunks in which you're trying to perfect the pieces. Like, okay, the first 20, 30 seconds, I want to finish it by 3 days or 2 days or 4 days, whatever it is. And it kind of gives you like a little goal, like something to work towards, which is really fun. So that's my whatever tip. I don't know what number I'm on. Another thing I do when I'm choosing a song is I make sure to watch covers of people playing it just to make sure that I can play it. Because sometimes it sounds like you can play it, or it sounds like you can't play it, and then when you watch the cover of someone else playing it, you're like, okay, I can do that, or I can't do that. So that's another thing that I do when I'm choosing a song. So there's the metronome. You might be playing it at 25% speed or 35% speed. That speed that you're at, whatever it took to learn it at its basic, most minimum level, you start to increase the speed, so you practice with the metronome. I wouldn't just jump to a certain speed. Like if I can't go past a certain BPM, I stay there until I can play it at least 3 times the way through. So metronomes help. Another thing that I do sometimes is I play along with a guitarist who's done their own cover. So for example, I love Rock Chloe, so I will take her cover, put it at 50% on YouTube, 50% speed, and I'll play along with her. It just feels so nice to be playing along with Rock Chloe. Anyways, so that's sometimes what I do. Either use a metronome. Once I get it up to a certain speed, I will play along with other guitarists because it's more fun. I can hear their style. My last tip is taking videos of yourself throughout your journey of learning a song. I'm always just so impressed by the amount that I learn in week 1 or day 1 versus like week 2, or even just like, even in 5 days, the amount that I progress is, and it's just, I guess I don't even have words for it, but it's just so cool to see the amount I progress. I am a person that loves progress. That's what my younger sibling said to me, and it's very apparent. So I love comparing like day 1 versus day 5. And taking progress videos does one of 2 things. The first thing is when you look back at yourself, you're like, wow, look at me, I've improved so much. But the second thing it does is if you watch that video right after you play it, you can kind of see where you're messing up. You can kind of see areas in which you should improve. And so I think that progress videos just help in those 2 ways. So I've been playing for less than a year, and this is my current process of how I learn a song. I'll probably tweak and improve it as I move forward in my journey, but for right now, this is how it is. Well, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, please like and subscribe.